with Vix Thomas on Maidstone Radio.
It's time for my Wonder Women hour now, and as promised, I have award-winning founder of Mum's Baked Cakes here on the line. It's Paula Wilkinson. Welcome to Maidstone Radio this afternoon.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. So I want to know all about Mum's Baked Cakes. But first, what about a bit of background about you, Paula? Are you from Maidstone?
Not originally from Maidstone. I've lived here for donkey's years now.
Yeah,
25 30 years.
You're a veteran.
Yes, but originally from North Wales, so most of my family still live in North Wales, but I have 2 teenagers here, both at MGS, and my husband is, all of them are very involved in the rugby club here, so yes.
That sounded like you had loads of husbands then.
Sorry, no, just the one.
So you're very settled here, and so then you've set up your business here then?
Yes, I have. My husband runs his own business as well. He runs an IT company.
Right.
I spent a lot of time just staying at home with the children while they were little, and then 5 years ago set up Mum's Baked Cakes.
And so tell me about it and kind of what inspired you to set it up.
So it's basically a gift site, really, if you like. It's a bit like Interflora, but for cakes.
Great.
So you go onto the website, perhaps we're here in Maidstone, obviously, and I have family in Llandudno in North Wales. So I could go onto the website, pop in the postcode for Llandudno, and up would come all our bakers in that area who hand deliver in Llandudno. So it's
Wow.
It's a local baker delivering in a local area. And with their cakes. So the baker, whether it's in Glasgow or in Newcastle, has uploaded their own cakes, what they're capable of doing. They price them up. They've decided which ones they like to sell, and you order it and the baker gets the information. You can write a card if you wanted to have a card with it saying, keep going in these hard times, or Happy Valentine's Day or something. And the baker delivers on the day you've requested, with the cake and the card. Obviously now we're into, with lockdown, a lot of our bakers are only delivering very local to them.
Of course.
And safe distance, deliveries, or wearing PPE. So that's basically, what we do. And it started, like I said, 5 years ago, because I wanted to have a cake delivered to my niece, who lived in Llanrwst. She had been battling breast cancer for 2 years, and so I wanted to. She'd spent those 2 years basically meeting up with friends and family, going to cafes and having cakes. It was an incurable cancer, and so sending a trinket. We knew it was her last birthday, and she was only 35.
Oh gosh.
And so sending a trinket or flowers just didn't seem appropriate. So I went on, tried to find a local baker, and nobody did this. So my sister walked into her local bakery and asked whether she could order a cake for me. And so I drove up from Maidstone to Llanrwst.
Blimey.
The cake, and I delivered it. And I said, my word, if I wanted to send flowers or even a jumper from Marks and Spencer's, it would have been really easy. But I just couldn't do it. So when I sat with my niece then, and we had the cake together, we said, gosh, this would be such an easy business to set up. Wasn't quite as easy as it sounded.
Never is.
No, but from then on, unfortunately my niece lost her battle in the December, but I then said, that's it, I'm going to do it. So we launched straight after that. I came back here and I spoke to the Chamber of Commerce. They were really good. and started going with launching the business. So that's where it all came from.
Oh, great. And it's in your niece's honour almost as well, isn't it? So
absolutely. I think the first couple of years, and probably actually this year with lockdown, she's been at the back of my mind to keep it going. You know, they say get through the first 2 years of your business, get through the first 3 years, you know, and once you can do that, you should be going the right way. And it is really difficult. But yeah, I think probably her in the back of my head is thinking, I've got to give it everything I can for her. I think she probably is kicking me from behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think she is. Has the business or the brand evolved much from the start of your kind of original vision, or has it sort of stayed the same?
I mean, it has evolved a lot. I think even the name Mum's Baked Cakes, it was started all because it's all about just like your mums used to make. That's what we wanted to do. It wasn't to do with high-class wedding cakes. It was to do with, nice home-cooked cakes, bakes, whatever. And that it did evolve. We have got some fantastic bakers that are doing the high class wedding cakes, celebration cakes and stuff. And I think I didn't know how big the industry was when I set off. I don't bake. I used to be into marketing and advertising.
Oh, right.
And that's where I've brought that part of the site into it. And really I deal one side with customers and the other side with the bakers, and really try and marry up the two, what one's looking for and finding the right baker, if needs be, to find a baker that can help them. So I'm sort of the middle ground. Most of the time you can just go onto the site and find what you need. But there are instances where, somebody's looking for something completely different.
Really bespoke or something,
Yes, and that's where we get involved in the middle of it, to try and find the right person for what they're looking for. And sometimes that's a corporate client looking to have, previously cupcakes to hundreds of locations and for Christmas, and we've done that. So we get all our bakers involved. So perhaps one London baker would deliver 40 of them to their local areas, but then we'd have Lancaster and Glasgow and Devon all doing exactly the same cupcakes across the country, all on this within the same couple of days.
Wow.
And that's
all hands to the pump.
Yes, and the bakers wouldn't normally get the opportunity to do that. We're the only company that does this in the country. So the bakers like this additional revenue. They can get a cake in Maidstone and somebody would buy a cake from a Maidstone baker. What they can't get is a corporate in Manchester who has a client in Maidstone. Kings Hill is a really popular one, and they can't get that client, because the bakers can't advertise in Manchester. It's just not worth it for that one or two. But we are, and we have a lot of business comes through from America and Australia.
Wow.
Where they have family in Maidstone, or family in Canterbury, and so they don't pay massive delivery charges, because our bakers don't charge for delivery, because they're only delivering local in their area. We have Australia and America are our big amount of people that do purchase from outside the UK for us. But a lot of it is Maidstone going up to Glasgow, or Glasgow coming to Maidstone. And
that's great. I'm making me hungry for cake now. Right, I'll be back shortly with Paula after this. I'm back with Paula Wilkinson, founder of Mum's Baked Cakes. Thank you for talking to me this afternoon, Paula.
It's okay.
And we're navigating lots of technical issues, aren't we, with the line? So everyone can bear with us. So you have your service that connects customers to local bakers. How do you find these bakers? Do they kind of, I mean, maybe it's word of mouth now, but in the beginning, how did you find them?
Well, I mean, and actually I didn't realise how many hoops the bakers have to jump through to be a registered baker, because the bakers do have to be registered with their local authority. That's the environmental health officers, and they visit the premises, they check the cleanliness, and that they follow the rules and regulations. And I didn't realise any of this at the very beginning. I thought anybody could bake. And so that's a lot of it, because that information is actually in the public domain. If you go to the food.gov site, they are listed alongside Chinese takeaways, Indian restaurants. They go through the same processes that these restaurants go through. Now, obviously, a baker's not as high risk. They're not dealing with fresh meat or chicken or anything like that, but they do have to be aware of all the allergens that are there, and obviously under the current restrictions as well with COVID, they have to be extra careful with what they're doing. And so our bakers, that's the first thing we do, is check that they are fully registered and that they hold insurance as well. So their insurance is as vital for that as well. So we spend a lot of the day, that, as I said, that information is out on the public domain. So very easily we can find bakers and get in touch with them, because we know they're registered. And then we talk to them about whether they would like to increase their business by using a portal like ours, and talk to them about that, how we are working with corporates, how we work with people from abroad, how we get the business, so that they understand how we are supporting bakers. And a lot of bakers do undercharge. They've set up a business to make cakes, and lots of people say, oh, it's really easy to make a cake. Actually,
I wouldn't ever say that.
No, and I can't. I tried with the children when they were younger, and they're nice to eat, but I wouldn't want to ask people to pay for them. And there is a difference in that. And they have spent years honing their skills. So when they ask for £100 for a cake, and somebody says, well, wow, that's an awful lot of money, you have to remember the skill that's built up into that. And we don't say to a hairdresser, oh wow, that's a lot of money to cut my hair. And it's kind of that as well. But you do notice with cakes that if you have got a fantastic wedding cake or a birthday cake, it is the one time in a party where all the cameras come out. Quite amazing. I've had children's parties here, and nobody's taken, even though the kids are covered in mud, or whatever party we've had a I'm a Celebrity party and things like that. So we've had the ghoulish parties and the cameras aren't out, but the minute the cake comes out,
it's the focus, isn't it?
It is. So, it is a cake is important to most people, and I love a good cake.
And as well, once they've made this masterpiece for you, it's not like they can test it.
No.
So they have to be skilled. It just has to be perfect, doesn't it?
It does. And they can't compete with Marks and Spencer's, Tesco's, and they don't even try.
No.
Their vanilla sponges are so much different. Doesn't have any the additives that you will see in a lot of the mass-produced cakes, the size of the sponges, and also the difference they can do. They're different flavours. Prosecco is a flavour that's there. But yesterday I saw somebody had put up, because obviously they can put up whatever they like, what they're doing. Yeah. And I saw lactation cookies.
Oh my God.
I'd never heard of that. But it's to help with breast milk, and these cookies are supposed to be really good. And
wow.
I'm like, wow, I didn't even know something
like that. That's a thing. It's obviously a thing.
It's a range of things. We have a lot of brownies on the site, but it goes from brownies to cookies and cupcakes, and lots of treat boxes are currently the thing. So we've gone from hampers over Christmas to little treat boxes now, and we had a grandma got in touch. She'd sent through us. Just at Christmas, she'd sent a gingerbread house making kit.
Wow.
So our baker had made the gingerbread parts and sent it through to these grandchildren that the grandma couldn't see. And the message came back that the children enjoyed it, the grandchildren loved it so much. What else have we got that we could arrange to post to their grandchildren? So, you can just see the sadness, if you like, that these grandparents can't see their grandchildren, don't know what to do to help the parents. And this is just an activity that, it was a nice activity she could send, I think for Christmas Eve, I think the mother gave it to the children, but it's that sort of thing, and it just meant a lot. And the messages that we are getting through this last lockdown, it's just it's heartwarming, but really sad when we see it on this end. Yeah,
definitely. Do you feel, has business, are you surviving lockdown? How are you navigating through it? And do you feel that sort of you're getting more business because of people wanting to send things in isolation?
Yes. I mean, it's, at the very beginning, back in March, obviously we all watched the Boris announcement and the kids were coming back the next day. I thought, oh my word, what do we do? And our bakers cancelled their orders. A lot of the bakers came off the site, and we didn't know what to do. Should we stay open? Should we close? And we tried to get in touch with the minister, the Food Standards Agency. We tried talking to everybody, because we kind of came under takeaway food. We came under a delivery company, because that's exactly what we are. So we kind of didn't really know, what was the right thing to do. And we had bakers under complete hardship. Single parents, and although it's called Mum's Baked Cakes, we do have some male bakers.
Nice.
But we had the hardship from the bakers as well. So we made the decision to stay open. We asked the bakers to reduce their areas right down, to use the time of their exercise to do their deliveries. So we, helped them navigate, because they were then classed as they could run their business from home, but they just couldn't do the delivery part, obviously, from home. So we talked to them about that. And then a lot of the bakers, as it became apparent it wasn't just, a couple of weeks, a lot of the bakers then moved to posting cookies, and we were quite limited what we could do, but we had brownies and cookies that they were posting, and the business just rocketed.
Wow.
We had then lots of them coming on board. We kept going back out to them saying, is there any chance you could test that you can post, and if you can you come back? So we encouraged a lot of them to start testing on family, bake something that you like, send it out to family and let us know if you can do it. And so we pulled a lot of the bakers back in at that point, because our bakers that were on the site were so inundated, they had to come off the site because they had run out of boxes, they'd run out of ingredients. And so it was fabulous in that way. And like I said, the messages though, were so sad. We had people that had arranged holidays, first time they were going to meet each other, and should have been in Italy, and they weren't. They were in different countries at the moment. We had a lovely lady who every day she used to visit her husband, who's got Alzheimer's, and she visited the care home, and obviously she wasn't allowed in, and she had been married for 35 years. She said, I am so worried now that my husband will not know me when I'm allowed to next see him. Could we send him a cake with her picture on and some particular words?
Yeah.
Well, at that point, I think I spoke to her, and we had to help her go through the process of ordering this cake. And when I spoke to the baker, both me and the baker were in tears about this cake. But it meant so much. And they're the messages that we did. So we helped bakers move on to an online, they didn't want to be setting up their own websites necessarily. So we helped them to move into posting. And so we were able to help them move into what is this new world. We did as well. And this lockdown, a lot of the bakers have stayed on the site, but again have reduced their areas down. So it's challenging for all businesses. It's not the same. It's been really busy, but our average value before lockdown, we had lots of corporates and we had a high value average value order. Since lockdown, and it's carried on, our average value order's gone down, but we are doing so many numbers. It's made up the revenue, but it's hard work. It's smaller value and harder, more numbers, if you like. So we took a person on during lockdown because of that.
Wow.
So we took a local lady on, and so a Maidstone lady who has to isolate. She can do this job isolating. So we took her on, and it's made a difference to her. She's managed to come off any credits of any kind.
That's
and
great.
we helped her to have a job whilst we go through this stupid times.
Oh, that sounds great. Well done. Right,
Thank you.
Join Paula and I again. The Wonder Woman Hour on Maidstone Radio. I'm Vic Thomas, and I'm joined by the very lovely Paula Wilkinson, entrepreneur who set up the award-winning Mums Bake Cakes. Thanks for staying on the line, Paula.
That's fine.
Not a lot else to do.
Not a lot else to do, is there really?
Just come back every week because there's nothing else to do. I wanted to ask you, I know it's a bit of a generic question, but what are the pros and cons of running your own business?
I think it's probably uncertainty, but I don't know whether I'm saying that because of it's this year or overall. But it is just, will there be an order next week, tomorrow, today, whatever. But the pros is just, and I think sometimes we need to remember where you come from. Where it's set up, and actually pat myself on the back sometimes. I go, well, not bad. And also the reason that I set up was so that I could spend more time with my family or doing my own thing, and remembering that it's not just all about money. It's not just being a big international superstar. Definitely not what I wanted to be anyway. But it is about the other things. Being able to take the dog for a walk at 10 o'clock in the morning because that's the only time it's not going to rain. Being people call you an entrepreneur. I'm just like, I'm just running a little business. But it's a little business that helps other little businesses. I have about 600 bakers.
That's incredible.
On the site. So, and they're earning money that they wouldn't necessarily. I'm not saying, they obviously run their own businesses as well, but they are having additional revenues coming from us. And we have recruited companies. There's a Maidstone company that made up our site. We have a marketing team, marketing person that helps us, an IT company. So all these other businesses that we're also putting money in for them to run their businesses.
Yeah.
So, you have to look at the good feel factor and not just the bottom line of how much you earn. And I think the downside really is that there's nobody saying, oh, well done you. So you have to try and find the well done you yourself. I think I'm setting the right things for the children to see as well. So they see that I work hard, and hard work does pay off. some of the time. They see my stresses, and they actually see arguments as well, which when they were little, well, you know, if I wanted to have an argument with my husband or, you know, a business partner or anything, I'd sort of keep it away from the children because I didn't think they needed to see it. But as they've become teenagers, it's quite good for them to see it's okay to disagree.
Yeah, because then they'll see the resolution, won't they?
Yes, you know, we don't slam doors. We have a discussion. I don't like what you said. I don't like what you said. Okay, but we can agree to disagree. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, do you want a cup of tea? And it's that sort of thing that we can get over disagreements, because both of us obviously now work from home as well, and the children are homeschooling here, so it can be a bit of a tinderbox, but it's getting over that and realising that we can all work together. We do have different opinions, but that's okay as well to have those different opinions and move on from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of that really is kind of the good and the bad and the ugly, I suppose.
How do you use social media and your blog to advertise and grow the business?
Well, that was difficult to start with. I was trying to think of a word, really. Difficult to start with because I came into this 5 years ago having not been on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Hadn't done any of those, and I'd been at home with the children, and if anybody wanted me, they could phone me. That was about as far as I got, or you could text me. That was about as far as I knew. So it was very much a big learning curve, both online and books, and I use all of those now. Facebook's one of the most popular. That I communicate. We have a separate Facebook site just for our bakers, so that they can ask questions. That's completely sealed off from anyone else. And we have obviously the customer facing one, and Instagram, and the blog on the site to try and talk about different things really that's going on, and different ideas for people creating cakes, and when to make your Christmas cake, and things like that, and really how to run a baking business, because a lot of what we do is trying to educate bakers to move from being a home baker that just bakes it for family and all the family say, wow, cake's lovely, to making that step into a small business and then taking it further into a business that's profitable. So that's how we try and use the blog and the social media.
Yeah, you've done well then.
Thank you. Big learning curve.
What about customers who maybe more elderly customers who aren't online? Do you still kind of have customers phone you? Do you still? Or is it all online? Yeah,
it's very difficult, that part of it. We have tried, we do try and help them and take the card payments and things like that. But to be honest, the cake's very visual.
Yes,
they need to see it, and can't think of any other way to get the pictures across them. Of course. So they know what they're getting, and that is a lot of it, is that people have an expectation of what it's going to look like, and it's ensuring that they can see that the baker has previously done something similar, maybe not exactly the same. They might want a giraffe, but the baker has done a donkey, and we will show, well, there's a donkey, so there's no reason why she couldn't do a giraffe. And it's kind of that, and that could be the same even on cupcakes. The quality of a cupcake that I make would be nowhere near what the quality of the bakers that around the country are doing. So it is a very visual thing. So unfortunately, unless we can email, there's not a lot else we can do really.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely understandable, and hopefully people just have people in their support network who can help them with the online stuff. Yeah. Great. Thanks, Paula. We'll take a quick break now, but don't go anywhere, otherwise you'll miss the final part of our chat.
Community radio for Kent's county town.
Maidstone Radio.
Thank you for listening to Maidstone Radio this afternoon. I've still got Paula Wilkinson from Mum's Bake Cakes here with me, who is kindly taking time out of her busy schedule to talk to little old me today. Thank you, Paula.
That's okay, it's good fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice little chat. What advice would you give to kind of future, I know you don't like describing yourself as an entrepreneur, but future entrepreneurs or people who are thinking about setting up a business?
I think the biggest thing is obviously talk to people that can give you some great advice, and not necessarily people that would have a vested interest in the business. So you might want to we talk to the Chamber of Commerce because they could give us some good advice. It's like the Federation of Small Businesses, they'll have advisors, people like that they haven't got any financial gain in it, but they have got some great business advice on business advisors, and they'd be good to have a chat to. So rather than talking to, I don't know, a web designer, who the web designer is going to say, yeah, that's brilliant, because they're actually hopefully going to get the job from you. So, I would firstly talk to the business advisors, which is what we did, and then you've got a good idea as to what to ask when you then go to the website designers or the packaging companies, whatever it is that you are then going to commission to do the job for you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I think advice and, chat and see whether you can test it with anything smaller first or locally, and just get a feel for how many people would use something. And I think we all are worried about giving somebody our ideas that they might go off and run with your idea. But we need to test it to make sure that, that idea isn't just somewhere in there, isn't going to be picked up. Yeah, you've just got to go for it, haven't you? Do you think you're that's in your nature to kind of, go out and do things? You're quite entrepreneurial. Yes, I think I am. I think I'm I do.
A doer.
A doer, yes. Yeah. I think that's this year's been quite difficult, or now probably more than ever, is because I am a planner. We get to January the 1st and I think, right, where am I going to go on holiday? When are the school holidays? What are we going to do then? Where can we go? And we can't, the whole country can't at the moment. And so I think, that then came into my business, because I was like, wow, okay, what can I plan? What is going to happen? And so that's been difficult, because I can't plan anything, sort of going forward. We're all at the...
we're just in a weird hinterland, aren't we?
Yes. And I think that's where perhaps it's a tad more difficult at the moment, and therefore having a conversation like this makes you realise, that's where I am at the moment. I need to, pull my socks up and put my big girl's pants on and get going. Make some plans. Did you find it okay getting to grips with kind of all aspects of running the business? Like, I imagine there's various insurances and the HR side of it, and, any investment stuff. Yes and no. I mean, I took a lot of time out, making sure that, we were compliant, and doing the right things. I think, our web designers would tell you that, I was like, wow, what does that mean? And what's SEO? I'd never heard the term SEO. And, they're like, okay, let's start at the beginning. That's search engine optimization. And they would, talk me through. So they were very gentle with me going back 5 years ago while I was trying to understand the system. And, a lot of my personal money, and I've got a business partner, his money, we put into the business to get us going. And we're now at a stage where we want to look for investment, so that we can grow the business a lot faster. It's getting bigger, and a lot bigger, and it now needs the investment to put in a new website, update things, and because of the growth that's there, and that's been really difficult. Actually, getting investment for a female business is quite difficult. A lot of the investors are men, and them understanding that gifts are massive. That cakes are big in their own right. It's not just you don't just have a birthday cake. We have cakes going out for Valentine's Day. We have cookies going to the NHS saying thank you for all that you're doing. We have brownies going to young children and grandmas, and so it's not just a cake. And I think finding funding and finding people that can help with funding is quite difficult for a female led business. A lot of those meetings go on in London, which we've attended, 7:00 at night, and it's just not appropriate when you've got a family at home.
Are there many have you come across many female investors?
There are a few, but again, not as many. It's definitely nowhere near as many as the male investors. And it has to be often against the type of business that they want to invest in. So maybe they're fintech, or maybe they're science led, and so it's just finding the right one, really. But I would just say, that is probably the most difficult for businesses in Kent, is getting the funding or the support for the funding going forwards.
And what is next for Mum's Baked Cakes? Have you got any future plan, aside from the investment, what's your kind of vision for future? Yes, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, with all of us at the moment. The most local, the most recent, if you like, is our plans with Valentine's Day, with Mother's Day, and supporting people through that, obviously February and March, and going through into the summer, hopefully helping, starting to get our corporate businesses back again and putting ourselves back on the map for the businesses wherever they might be. So it's building up the base again from where we were, and delivering higher returns than we've ever done. Last year was phenomenal. The early part of this year is actually showing brilliantly, and we want that to continue once we're out of a lockdown. It's quite false under a lockdown to say, oh, look how brilliant the business is. We need to continue that. If we can continue what we've done during lockdown and then bring on the corporates when they're back, then the business will grow amazingly, hopefully. It sounds like you've done so well, considering everything.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for joining me today, and remind our listeners again, how can they get cake?
Yes, it's www.mumsbakecakes.co.uk, just like our mums used to make.
Yay. And what about on Facebook and so you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
It's all Mum's Baked Cakes. Mum's Baked Cakes.
Lovely. Well, I'm definitely going to check it out, maybe even this afternoon. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and it's been really nice to get to know the business.
Thank you.
And you.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon. Thanks, Paula.